And how did you help yourself, or what tools did you use that allowed you to become?
Yeah, I really grieved hard actually at the start, and I allowed myself that time to just really learn the lessons that needed to be learned. I was part of this, and I had held that hope for 19 years, and just to really look at myself and in that relationship and what I was expecting and what I could have done better, or how I could have seen things better. I'm quite analytical. I've learned about myself, so I analysed everything, and I wrote constantly in my journal, even through the relationship. So I continued doing that as part of my grieving. I found that really helpful, and I don't even look back at them, to be honest. It's just, for me, it's just seeing it, getting written down, and just the process of thinking the thoughts and putting them down on paper.
Welcome to Single Parent Success Stories, a podcast designed to inspire single parents. Here you'll find resources from self-care to finances to parenting and everything in between. Discover what it takes to thrive. Let the stories inspire you to what is possible.
Hello and welcome to Single Parent Success Stories. Today we have a special guest joining us from Australia. She is Diane Parkin. She is a single parent. She restructured her family over 2 years ago. She has 2 teenagers, aged 16 and 14. She grew up herself in a single parent family. Her parents were one of the first in 1976 to get a divorce. With the change of legislation at the time, they were then viewed as a broken family, and she lived her worst fear when she faced divorce after over 20 years with her children's father. It turns out that while it has its challenges, it has been more harmonious than when they all lived under one roof. Welcome, Diane. It is a pleasure to have you.
Thank you, Irina. It's great to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. So please share with us your story. How, first of all, you yourself were growing up in a single parent home. So please share experiences from that time. What worked, or what challenges you faced? What do you wish
Yeah,
you
sure.
would have done differently? Or maybe there were some positive experiences that you want to share.
Sure. Yeah, so I was only 4 years old when my dad decided to leave, and he had another relationship. And so that left my mum, in the 1970s, as you can imagine, with not, very much support, and was a lot of shame around it, being one of the first families in that time in the 70s. And so, yeah, she tells quite a few stories about how embarrassed she was, and yeah, it was not what it is today. It was, considered quite a big deal. But look, she did really well. She, with not very much money, she, cooked a lot, made our clothes. Yeah, she did things pretty tough, but she did it well. Did see my dad from time to time. It was supposed to be every second weekend, but it tended to get stretched out quite a bit more. And I remember really missing him and wishing that I could be, there more and to see him more. I think I had a lot of healing as an adult with the father who wasn't there growing up. And yeah, so it was not all positive, although I saw a strength in my mum that I probably wouldn't have seen otherwise. But it was very clear in my mind it was just something I didn't want to. So I made very specific decisions in my, I guess, the way I lived my life to prevent having to go through anything like that myself. So yeah, it sort of set the scene for me for something that I want to avoid at all cost, if I could. Yeah.
Wow. were there any positive experiences? Well, you shared that you were able to see the strengths of your mom, but for yourself, if you had an opportunity to go back in the past, what would you tell your parents when you were growing up? What do you wish them to know?
Yeah, good question. Probably don't sweat the small stuff. I remember a lot of arguments. They used to argue about a lot of things. They used to get very precious about like Christmas Day, like one particular day, and they would fight about it. And so to this day, I still, Christmas Day is what it is, and I'm happy to share and, have part of it or whatever. And because I just don't want my children to ever feel like they, like I did, I suppose, at those times. Also, I think probably, just I guess it's the 70s. So I probably would also tell them, just listen to us a little bit more, and ask us a bit more about, things that we wanted to do. But look, it was all part of the times and just, how things were, I think. But I guess that's why I've made the decisions that I have to give my children voice and ask them, the things that work for them and help them to have more of an understanding of themselves.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Good. And in your personal life, like when you became a single parent, what challenges did you face?
Yeah, so like I said, I sort of set myself that was something I really didn't want. So I worked really hard at a marriage that probably, I knew wasn't working, wasn't right, and wasn't necessarily healthy. There were times that when you'd expect your partner to support you and things like that, and he seemed to be further away and emotionally and not there for us when I had hoped. So I grew and I learned, I changed, I did everything I could with, saw counsellors and all that sort of thing. And then after 19 years of marriage, he told me that it'd be better if we separate. And it broke my heart, but there was a real truth in what he said, and I knew it was right. I knew that when I had challenged him before and said, but you said this, but you're doing this, and I was really conflicted with what I heard and what I saw, I knew that it would have been better being separated. I knew there was a truth to that, and there was it just dissipated all the confusion and just things made sense. And I thought, this is actually what we probably should have done, or I should have even thought of doing. But in my fear, I was living in fear and really fearing having to face that, I suppose, having to separate and divorce and all the things that I had seen as a child. Yeah.
And how did you help yourself, or what tools did you use that allowed you to become?
Yeah. I really grieved hard actually at the start, and I allowed myself that time to just really learn the lessons that needed to be learned. I was part of this, and I had held that hope for 19 years, and just to really look at myself and in that relationship and what I was expecting and what I could have done better, or how I could have seen things better. I'm quite analytical. I've learned about myself, so I analysed everything, and I wrote constantly in my journal, even through the relationship. So I continued doing that as part of my grieving. I found that really helpful, and I don't even look back at them, to be honest. It's just, for me, it's just seeing it, getting written down, and just the process of thinking the thoughts and putting them down on paper. And I learned about excessive takers and how my family history had played a part in the choices that I'd made. And just really took time to learn the lessons. mindfulness was something that I had already started, and I just really deepened that practice and continued to just take time for myself and take time, hand on heart, literally, just wanting to just connect again to, or even just in a new way, connect with myself and what, my purpose was and my values as well. I'd also started learning about nose breathing. I found that really helpful. Just, so breathing in and out through the nose. I noticed how much I was breathing through my mouth and how there's actually a connection between that and anxiety and different, mental health issues and things as well. So I found that quite useful as well. And I actually really found myself leaning into the perfect timing of the universe. I actually had to face 5 of my biggest fears within that year. I'd left my job, so I had quite a secure job, and I started a new business. Then I was diagnosed with breast cancer, so I was going through that, and then we had the family restructure, and I had a beautiful home that we'd built, and so we had to move house. So there was all these things all within 12 months, and it's like, oh my gosh, my world as I knew it had sort of just dissipated, and I had to recreate a whole new way of seeing everything. And if I think of those things, and if I think of them in any other order, I don't know that I would have ended up where I am now. Mm-hmm. And I just really felt it was amazing how the universe had me the whole way.
Mm-hmm. Was it scary when everything was changing all at the same time?
Yes. I sort of liken it to, as a child out in the waves, and you get one big wave and you waltz you over and you sort of, get your head back up and you recover, and then another one comes, and you're just like, what on earth is happening? But it was the shake up I needed, and I shake up I did. So And then the other important thing I did, though, to counter, because there was a lot of introspection, I suppose, and we were doing 50-50 with the children, and so I had a lot of time for myself, which I know a lot of single parents might not necessarily have, but that's the co-parenting, which is difficult because you're separated, but then you do have that, quality time for yourself, which I really made a conscious effort to make it that for me. But being a giving person, I also decided to reach out and do more volunteering. So I actually found a couple of organisations where that aligned with my values, and which really in return gave back to me in a sense that I was giving my time, but it was just lovely connecting with people, with like-minded people, and giving and seeing something for my time and my efforts, and seen the reward of that, I suppose. So that was another strategy I found useful too.
Beautiful. Yeah. Sometimes when we help others, we can help ourselves in the process.
Exactly. Yeah. And just fosters that gratitude and everything as well, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, the tools that you shared are really important, and I love that you already did journaling, and it's kind of an idea of unburdening, so we don't have a lot of stuff in our head. We can just lay it on paper so that we can breathe, so that we can continue functioning.
That's right.
Awesome. Was there any book that you read that kind of inspired your journey or inspired your change?
I've read a few over the time. There was the breathing one was really good. Somebody was just saying to me, just breathe, don't just breathe. And I really had to lean into that. So there was a book that I picked up. I'm not sure if someone's recommended it to me, but I'm pretty sure the title is Simply Breathe. And it was where the nose breathing came in. So for me, it was about nose breathing and, having cleaner air going in, and modifying my mood and things like that. But it was also about just being mindful of my breath and what I was doing. So through the day as well, just paying attention to what I was doing. I really did find that. And again, the universe, put that in front of me at the time that I needed it most. It was good.
Nice, nice. What do you think is the most important trait to instill in a child?
Yes, I'm dealing with this one at the moment. For me, I have teenagers, so I should probably preface it with that, because if you'd asked me maybe 5, 10 years ago, it might have been different. But at the moment, one of the things I'm really trying to instill is the importance of being true to our word, and how our word is power. That's the words we speak to ourselves, the words we speak to others. And if we say we're going to do something, then it's just words unless we follow it through with the action. So, yeah, that's really important to me at the moment.
You're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Be mindful of how you speak to yourself. Yeah.
Oh, our thoughts are, and yeah, our thoughts are just so powerful. And I've seen it in recent times too, with some situations, and I've like, what was the thought going through the mind? And it can completely change the reality of the situation. It doesn't even have to be true. It's just because it's a thought, then our reality becomes what that thought is, rather than challenging that thought, and that then changes the reality as well.
Yeah, so true. What kind of advice would you give to single parents who are just stepping onto the journey of single parenting?
Yeah, for me, I don't give advice, so but I can share what works for me, and what worked for me. Each day I just like to focus on doing one thing that would move me forward. I didn't know how I was going to get there. I didn't know where even that was sometimes. But if I just put one foot in front of the other that day, and like I just contacted the broker, or I just did, whatever it was that needed to be done, just focus on that one thing and know that that's going to keep moving you forward. And the other one was like the paranoia. I think I have only just grown into this lately, the manifesting of what you desire, and how that can even happen, I think, when you're co-parenting with someone who you're, not living with anymore. It's been my reality anyway. I was given a mantra to, about, mutually respectful relationships, and to the working towards that, our children's best and highest good. And honestly, I found that so, like, when I was given that mantra, I was like, there's just no way this could happen. Like, there was a little voice in my head thinking, how on earth would that even happen? But honestly, it actually did very quickly, like within a couple of days of using that mantra. I think it was 40 times a day I had to do it. And I was like, we're already here. We've actually achieved this. Like, and I shouldn't have been, but I was really surprised at the time. I was like, wow. So just hold hope that we can manifest that respectful relationship, if that's what we're wanting. And also, I also wish that I'd had your podcast and known about your podcast back then, because I think listening to other people's stories, wow, I'm really enjoying it at the moment. I take you on my walks with you, and with me, and listen to the people that you interview. I think it's a beautiful thing to share our strengths in our experiences. Like, there's just such power in hearing other people's reclaiming of their lives, and moving on. I think it's great.
Thank you. Appreciate that. And thank you for sharing those tools that help, because hopefully with each podcast, with each interview, we have a library of tools that could be helpful for people if it resonates.
That's
In your journey, like how did your journey kind of influence? You said you started your business and you left your very secure job. How was that for you? And what kind of business did you choose?
yeah. So I've always wanted to be a teacher for as far back as my memory goes. And I had a really secure job in a school, and I just found it. I think the universe is just pushing me out and just saying, this is not for you now. And I found it really scary. It was literally like jumping into a big unknown with no safety net. But I just felt that something I need to do. And so I took time, some long service leave, and really worked with my values and my purpose. And I knew it had to be to continue teaching in some capacity. And so my business grew. I had a friend then asked me if I could tutor her daughter. And it just grew from there. So I'm tutoring and supporting, giving education support to children and their families, and absolutely loving it because I get to do it in a way that resonates with me, my values, and people really appreciate what I do, and it has a real impact on them. And so I find it really rewarding.
Nice, awesome.
Yeah.
What is your superpower, if you had to pick one?
Yeah, that's a good question. I maybe part of me says maybe I dipped out in superpowers. Um, I'm 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 sort of one of those people that sort of does a few different things, but not really one particular one. Would it be? Oh, you've got me. Look, I think through all of this, resilience might come up there. I think I've shown the universe that I can take the hits and bounce back and keep moving forward. So let's go resilience.
Yeah, I think you're right. Resilience is a good one. And yeah, your own journey shows that.
Yeah.
What was the smallest thing you've done that had the biggest impact in your life so far?
Probably choosing to, and I don't know how small you'd say, but maybe it's a big thing, but it's a moment in time, isn't it, where you decide, I need to leave my secure job. I really didn't know what I was going to be doing, and it was just a moment's decision, but it's completely changed my life. And I guess just trusting the universe that this was right, and took the leap. And it's been the best, because even through my treatment and everything, I was just in a really great healing space for all of that. And if I had stayed, I just know I wouldn't have been in the right headspace. Well, I would have had sick leave and all that too. So then you're sick and you're, in that space. Whereas for me, I didn't tell many people. I continued to live my life as I was, going through it all. And for me, that was what I needed. I just needed to keep some normalcy and, keep my, that was, the healing energy that I needed. So, I'll go with that.
Beautiful. Are there any fun projects you're working on that you like to share?
Well, could say fun. My big picture goal is to build a school. So I'm really keen to offer a different way of learning, I suppose, for children that might be finding it tricky, or families in general. I'm just seeing more and more families and children finding it really hard with the options that we have. And yeah, so I'd really like to create something that is inclusive and child-centered in, you know, giving them a voice and a way to learn to trust their own wisdom, I suppose, and help them on that learning journey. Yeah.
I love it. That's beautiful. Yeah, education system needs an improvement.
Yes, and look, I know, and that's nothing on teachers. Like you know, I've been one in the system as well. I just think, you know, hats off to them. I think they do an incredible job. I just think you know, our families are changing, our children are changing. We need to, you know, keep moving forward as well, you know, and keep it relevant and current and something that's meaningful to the people that are now. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. What is your hobby? What do you like to do for fun?
Yeah, for fun. So my volunteering, I really do enjoy that. So I do book sorting with 123 Read to Me. And I also listen to children in foster care with the Pajama Foundation. So that's something else. I've actually taken up West Coast swing dance. I've done a few sessions of that and I've really enjoyed that. That's been super fun. I just have a big smile on my face the whole time I'm there, and it takes my mind, you know, away too, because I'm learning and, you know, taking it all in. And it's one of those dances where mistakes don't matter. They literally laugh whenever there's a mistake. And so, yeah, I really enjoy that. It's great.
Awesome.
And
Yeah.
I like reading, and I've got a writing group. So I go to a writing group for fun as well. So we just write, you know, 100 word prompts or whatever, and just, yeah, have a bit of fun reading each other's writing. So, yeah, that's what I like to do.
Awesome. What is your self-care routine? That you cannot live without. What is important to you?
Mindfulness now. Yeah, several times a day. I really like to check in and just, you know, have that time. I probably I'm a bit more introverted than I used to be. So time for myself, just time alone. And I don't have any music playing or anything even. It's just quiet for me. I just really like, yeah, just quiet.
That's good. Yeah, we gotta recharge batteries as well. I am a recovering introvert.
Yeah.
Even though I have a podcast and I write books, but deep down inside, I think we all need this time to reflect, to, you know, self, to charge our batteries.
Yes, true.
Is there anything I haven't asked that you'd like to share?
I think that's pretty good. Yeah, maybe I've heard recently that our job isn't to know the answers, but to put the questions out to the universe. And I quite like that. So I guess, yeah, each day just putting that questions out to the universe and just seeing what comes back. Like, we don't always know how things will come about, but if we keep asking the questions, I think that's part of moving forward.
I love that. I think kind of how they say, you know, let go of the process or the how it will come. Just ask the question and be open to receive the answer.
Yeah, that's a good way of saying it too. Yeah, like it. And I also thought I'm not defined by my struggles. I was really wanted to make sure that didn't define me, but rather I like the word refined. So being like in a furnace, or, you know, something, the furnace of life, I think was in that book that you recommended as well, Big Magic. Yeah, I like that idea of it being refined, and you sort of, you know, learning and growing and becoming more true to yourself. And also just the idea of that as we go through the dark night of the soul moments, that they are just moments, and they do pass, and the sun, I don't know, the sun does come up in the morning, and one day you find yourself there and you're like, oh yeah, wow, I remember that. Yeah. Back then, in that, dark moments, you didn't think that the sun was going to come up, but it does. So yeah, just that hold that hope, and as you keep one foot in front of the other, that things move on.
You're right. You're right. We forget there is always a rainbow after the rain. But we sometimes we feel like the rain doesn't end. We feel like it keeps on going. It takes some kind of a miracle or a sparkle to, remember that the only thing constant in life is change. And the sooner we agree or adapt or understand that simple truth, I think it'll be easier.
It's true. And I think even sometimes I've caught myself wanting the rainbow without going through the rain. It's like, it just doesn't work that way. You've got to have it.
You're right. You're right. We need the contrast so that we can appreciate. Otherwise, we're not going to know the difference.
Yeah, it's so true. So true. But it's not always easy when you're in the thick of it all. But yeah.
Yeah. If people would like to connect and learn more about you, where would they go?
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram and Facebook. I'm very new on these things though, so I'm trying to post regularly. Timber Top Tutoring. You'd find me if you Googled that, I imagine. Even on my I've got a website and contact page on there, so you'd be very welcome to connect through there.
Awesome. And what age children, what range of children do you help tutor?
Look, at the moment, to be honest, I've got between 4 and 17, but
wow.
I'm primary.
Do you focus on any specific topic or it's general?
So I'm primary trained, but I do work with children who need like the primary schools, and I have got a couple who, I work with in secondary sort of maths level, but just more textbook stuff, not I don't put myself as a secondary teacher because that's a whole nother field for me. But yeah, anything to do with primary, I'm here, and pre-primary. Like I actually have done had some really great preschool sessions and things, just fun sessions for parents and kids, really around the things to do, getting ready for school, but not like formal stuff, but just fun. Yeah.
Awesome. I love it. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story, your wisdom, the lessons that you learned, and your experiences, first as being a child in a single parent home, and what you have taken from that and how then you applied it in your own life when you became a single parent. So thank you for that.
Thanks for having me on, Irina. I really appreciate you creating this podcast and an opportunity for us all to learn and to share on it. So thank you.
Thank you.